welcome back to my channel. A question that I often get asked and comes up such a lot when you're first beginning to do your your spiritual and psychic development. And that question is it my imagination or is it real? So I'm talking about getting messages from spirit or from dragons or guides or anybody else. And how do you know the message or the information you're receiving is direct from spirit? Now, if you're clairvoyant, so clear seeing, you see things. You don't see things externally, you see them in your mind's eye. And a lot of people work with symbols, or you'll get a real clear image of something, and you'll see some people describe it as a video playing in their mind. So that's sort of one way. But when you're actually getting messages, as in clairaudience, so you're hearing things, or if you're claircognizant, so you know things, they're often a little bit more tricky. Now, sometimes with clairaudience, the voice will sound slightly different because it's almost like it's a thought in your head. Again, you don't hear it, or rarely do you hear it externally. Now, there are times when people say, oh, I heard somebody calling my name, and you do hear it externally. And that will often be spirit wanting your attention. But 9 times out of 10, you sort of hear it in your head. And it's like, how do you know if they're your thoughts or if it's a real spiritual connection? Now, if you've been doing your work, you've been doing your meditation, you've been doing your practicing, you're opening your chakras, closing your chakras, you're cleansing. This is all beginner's work, by the way. Apart from that should be good housekeeping anyway. You know, protection, cleansing, auras, chakras, and so on. But if you've done your foundational work and you've been doing regular meditation, you would begin to notice the difference between, you would begin to notice the difference between your own thoughts and that of spirit, because the tone and the framing of the words would not be something that you would normally use. So that's one way of noticing it. Now, if you're claircognizant, so you're not clairvoyant, you're not clairsentient, you're not clairaudient, so you just know stuff. Now, that's a bit more tricky. And the clairaudience and the claircognizance often have, I believe, have a crossover. So you'll be sitting there meditating away, and you'll catch a thought that flicks through the back of your mind. Now, bearing in mind, the bulk of our work as human doings, as the dragons call us, sits here in the frontal, like, is it the frontal lobe, frontal cortex? Well, whatever this bit in the front of your brain's called, anyway, that bit. See, not technical. A lot of our things come from the frontal part of our brain. Now, this has been my experience over the last 20, 30 years. When it comes from spirit, it's like a whisper. And it's that thought that literally comes through the back. It's always like it comes behind, like the back of your ears. And it comes through the back of your head. And it's like it flashes through very, very quietly, really quickly, and very subtly. And if you can catch it, that's when it's inspired, if you like. So it's come from spirit, or it's that knowingness that comes in. And so how do you tell the difference, whether it's your imagination or whether it's real? If you're learning meditation, or you're even a seasoned meditator, I dare say, unless you went down the whole mindful route, I dare say that you started off with visualization. So you say to somebody, picture a pink elephant in your mind, or don't think a pink elephant. All you can see in your mind is a pink elephant. There's not many people. I've come across a few in my time, but there aren't many people that can't visualize. And it's so all creative work and spiritual work comes under creativity in my book. So if you're creative, you're connecting in to that right part of the brain, because there's the right part of the brain is your creative brain, and the left part of your brain is your logical brain. So if you're a creative and you're using imagination, that's where it all starts. So if you're like visualizing your guides, you want your guides to, you're meditating, for example, this goes for guides, dragons, ascended masters, angels, all of it. It's the same principle throughout. So you're in your meditative state, and you're in your, I don't know, where at your beach or wherever you are, you're meditating, and the person says to you, now in front of you, your dragon appears, your guide appears, your angel appears, and you can't see them. I know your frustration. I get it, been there. And so what I've learned is, because people say, oh, look at their face, look at their eyes, look at their features. And that's actually, I feel that's much more difficult. So I always start at the feet. So what's the terrain? What are you on? Are you on grass? Are you on sand? Are you on rocks? And allow your imagination to form and flow. And it will often shift as well until you hit on just the right place that feels right, and you go, ah, yeah, that feels right. If it doesn't feel right, keep shifting it in your mind until it feels right. Till you get into the right setting that suits you. And then you go to their feet. So what are they wearing? Can you see their feet? Have they got shoes on, socks on, barefoot, sandals? What are their feet like? And allow it to form in your mind, and it will shift and change as your mind flits about, because it will, because you're human. And then it will settle. Then you just move up through the body, through sort of legs, clothes, coats, trousers, skirts, whatever they're wearing. And again, it will shift and morph until it settles down. And that's how you allow your imagination, or how your imagination and your intuition blend, how they come together. You do this with your dragons. And when I teach people to first meet their dragons, it's like, okay, start at their feet. Have they got talons and claws? How big are they? How small are they? What shape are they? What colour are they? What colour are their nails? Or their claws? I think of them as nails, but anyway, are they painted? Allow your imagination to run riot, and you'll feel right. You'll know when it's right, because you'll go, everything will settle. Your mind will stop leaping about, and everything will settle. And it's like, oh, that's what it is. And you just get that like knowingness. And as you build upon this and allow your imagination to roll with it, you'll begin to tell the difference. The key, or one of the keys to this, is to get a meditation journal, or a journal that you do all your spiritual work in, and write everything down, everything you saw, felt, experienced, smelt, heard, every single thing. Write it down, as much detail as you can, even the mind jumping about and it all changing, and the big thing to write down are the subtleties, the things that you almost miss, because they're the ones, they're the game changers. So it's those ones that go through the back of your mind that you can't always fully catch, but it leaves an impression. And those impressions, as you gain experience, build. and you're able to harness it more. So allow your imagination a free rein. You know, and we're taught, aren't we? God, you know, imagination, get in the real world, you know, all that nonsense. But, you know, without imagination, nothing in this world would ever have been created. We wouldn't have been able to have rockets go to the moon. We wouldn't have had airplanes. We wouldn't have had the light bulb. We wouldn't have had mobile phones, computers, if people didn't have imagination. I think you'll have a bit of science with it as well. But seriously, allow your imagination a free rein and let it form. Don't beat yourself up over it. Allow it to blend and flow as it needs to. But the key is to write it down. I hope that helps. Till next time, big love.